Okay guys, welcome to the next instalment of Cooking with Kane. Today it is a meat and potato pie. Here you can see the ingredients that we're going to be needing for today. Firstly, we need to get a little bit of warm water in a bowl. There's no point in putting cold in because your hands will just get cold, so use some nice warm water. We need to start by peeling our potatoes. And whilst I'm at it, I'm just going to peel my carrot as well. So firstly, I'm just going to prepare my vegetables that are going to go onto the side of the meat and potato pie. So I'm taking the top and the bottom of the carrot, I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to cut it in half lengthways again, and I cut it into a little diagonal pieces. For my beans, I'm just going to nip the ends off. If you see any bad bits on your beans, this is probably the time to get them out. So have a little look through, see if you can see any bad beans. I found one. See you later. Just cutting the stalks off the broccoli and cutting them down a little bit. I'm going to get a pan of cold water. I'm going to pop my carrots in. I'm going to pop my beans in, getting ready to boil a little bit later on. Whoops, nearly forgot one. Okay, now I'm going to cut my potatoes. Sometimes you're going to see some black bits in your potatoes. This does not mean that your potato is bad, it's just a little bit of bruising from when it was picked up and put in the lorry and all those bumpy rides all the way to the factory. So all I'm going to do is cut them in half and half again. These are a little bit too big. I am going to cut them down a little bit later. And as you can see, as I'm going through my potatoes, I'm just cutting those black bits off and putting them to the sides. All I need to do is get a pan of cold water, pop my potatoes in, and then I'm going to put a little bit of salt in them and I'm going to put them up to boil. Now, time for the onion and the mushrooms. These are going to go into our pie filling along with our meat. So all I'm doing is I've cut my tail and top off my onion. I've peeled it, cut it in half. You can see I'm slicing really finely. And then I'm going to turn the onion around and then I'm just going to dice down. We're going to get some really lovely cubed onion. Now for the mushrooms, just going to cut them in half and slice down them. So I need some olive oil in a pan, I'm going to heat it up and then I'm going to add my onions and my mushrooms. Give them a nice big stir. So this is the time to check on your potatoes, make sure they've come to the boil, give them a stir. Back to our mushrooms and onions. What we're going to do is we're going to add the meat now after a little bit of salt and pepper. Make sure the mushrooms are nice and cooked through and the onions are starting to brown. So you can see I'm adding my mincemeat now. I'm crushing it in and breaking it up as I'm putting it in the pan. Soon as I touch raw meat though, I do not touch any utensils. I go and wash my hands straight away and then I can start stirring the meat in. So I still want to try and break that meat down as much as possible, just so it gets evenly cooked and it spreads the flavour around the dish. We're going to keep on stirring and within about 5 minutes it's going to darken down, brown off. It's going to look a little bit like this. So all I'm going to do is get a little bit of Bisto powder, any gravy powder will do. Going to need 2 or 3 teaspoons in there to about 150 ml of water. And and then I'm going to add that into my pan. This is going to make the pie filling nice and tasty. So take the pie filling off the heat and we'll come back to it a little bit later. Our potatoes, nearly done, just keep an eye on them. Now it's time to sort our pastry casing out. So I'm not going to do a pastry casing, I'm just going to do a pastry lid. I'm using short crust pastry that I bought from the shop. It's really easy, really cheap. I floured the board a little bit just because I don't want anything to stick, and I'm not going to use all this pastry, so the flour is going to go onto the greaseproof paper and make it non-stick for later use. Just going to put my pie dish on top of the pastry and using a sharp knife very carefully I'm going to trace around the edges of my pie dish. I'm going to pop this on the chopping board and I'm going to roll my leftover pastry so I can make something tasty with it later on. Okay, so now it's time to reheat our pie filling just so it's bubbling up a little bit. We're also going to turn our veggies on. I'm going to start them boiling up. We're going to preheat the oven to gas mark 6. I've drained my potatoes. Now I'm just putting my pie filling in the bottom of my pie dish. And I'm squashing it down a little bit. I want to get all it compact and flavoursome in there. So now I'm going to put my potatoes on top. I'm going to spread them out evenly. You can see they're nice and fluffy. And then I'm going to put my pastry on top. I'm going to press down the pastry to the sides of the pie dish. Then I'm going to get a knife and I've put 12 holes evenly in my pastry. So I haven't got a pastry brush. A bit of kitchen towel dipped in milk works just as well. I think I need to order one. So what we're going to do is put some milk onto our pastry. You can see I'm not using a lot of force. I'm just dabbing the paper towel over the pastry so it's all wet. So, preheated oven should do its job. We're going to put the pie in for 20 to 25 minutes on gas mark 6. At this time your veggies should be coming up to the boil. So just give them a little bit of a check, and with 7 minutes to go we need to put our broccoli in, and then we need to put our peas in as well. After they've boiled up, you need to drain them, ready to be served. You can see the pie here is done, it's nice and golden brown. I've just served mine with the lashings of gravy. Hi everyone, hope you've enjoyed this episode of Cooking with Kane. Thought I'd do some comfort food. The weather's a little bit drizzly, so hopefully this is going to be really nice for you and your family. There's quite a lot to do, there's a lot of chopping, there's a lot of preparation involved and a lot of time control, so there's some skills to be learnt there. I hope you have fun using this recipe and I hope the results turn out well. See you next time on the next episode of Cooking with Kane, but for now stay safe, stay indoors, see you later.